Admit. Hello, good morning, everyone.
Hello.
I like that Nate with a mustache. Lovely, lovely.
Ooh, nice.
Morning. All right, we'll get straight to the point, everyone. We're also recording this session for the people that couldn't make it today, so that we have pretty much all the information saved virtually. In the meeting today, we have Tam, our marketing intern, Patrick Huber, who is our tech support specialist. Patrick will be answering any questions you might have in the chat here, so feel free to just ask any questions you might have in the chat. And then Mr. Apolinar, who you might know, sales and marketing here at TELE Controls. So now let me try and share my screen. And we'll get straight to the point, to be honest. We'll try to make this a quick session today, packed with knowledge, right? And as I said, we would be more than happy to also discuss everything with you afterwards or through text or whatever medium you enjoy. And to make it a lot of fun, we'll start off with a video, and I'm sincerely hoping that you will also hear the sound of it. Ta-ta! All right, and this is the reason why we're here today. Pretty much our newest member of the TELE product family, our eCap sensor, also known as the performance sensor. And what we did pretty much the past 2.5 years as TELE globally, we decided to, steer or kind of broaden our horizon away from just analog outputs and relay outputs towards being able to communicate the electrical values that we collect. And especially during COVID, we all knew what happened there, so we met virtually with a bunch of partners and tried to also find out, okay, where is our part in that supply chain of a whole SCADA system or a whole control system, right? And most of you already know, TELE is very good at measuring current and voltage and frequency, all electrical values. But as of now, we just pretty much didn't really give you the actual value. We just either flip the switch or turn something on. And so part of that whole session was also the big question where we asked ourselves, hey, where do we want to be in that whole supply chain, right? Do we want to be like a HMI manufacturer? Do we want to manufacture actuators? But end of the story pretty much is we still see ourselves as a sensor manufacturer to cover pretty much gathering all that process, all the process values, and then passing them on to the greater system, right? And how could we do that? We actually decided to go through Modbus RTU because it's simply one of the most well-established communication protocols out there in the market, and we don't have to pay any license fees to a Siemens or so, right? And then it pretty much started already with, okay, what shape do we want to put this in, right? And we decided to actually go for our gamma heavy-duty industrial design. And the differences between our new product, the performance sensor, and our standard monitoring relays is pretty much that in the gamma housing, we have the potentiometers for the settings, right? And so we kind of wanted to keep that capability to be able to set values and thresholds on the front of the product without having to power it up, right? So that's something that we kept also in the new product. And that allows us in the new product also to set the Modbus registers without having to power up the product. One of the big advantages. And then, as I said already, measuring the same values that we have been experts in for the past 60 years, that's what we're good at. We're doing it in a fast and precise and accurate way in a reliable footprint. And so that leads us to also, for example, the standard monitoring relay is just binary information, right? It just tells us when you set the threshold, do you want to switch at 180 volts or do you want to switch at 190 volts and turn on the alarm relay, right? Whereas the new product gives us all the perks and benefits of having pretty much the information available, but then we pass it on in a granular version to your SCADA system, HMI, or IoT system, right? So that's something that's pretty new to Tele itself, since we only do or like did switching relay outputs or analog outputs for the past 60 years, and this is one of the first products that we actually decided to widen our horizons with. And yeah, what makes this new product unique, right? It's one of the most reliable products out there in the market. It's the fastest, the most accurate, and the most universal product, right? And what this thing does, it actually takes in uh, electrical values, pretty much voltage and current. And that voltage and current, we take it in single or three phase. It doesn't matter in this case. We have a neutral line connection as well. And by just connecting those two values, we pretty much calculate inside a lot of values that might be of interest as well, like frequency, active power, reactive power, all those values that we had in like kind of standalone tele products in the past. We calculate that. And then having those values, we pretty much take those analog values in and process them for further digital data processing, right? So that means we turn, if you will, the values at the machine or AC motor or compressor unit that are voltage or current, we turn them into zeros and ones, and then pass them on through the Modbus to the Modbus master. And that Modbus master can be then either your local PLC or you connect it to an HMI network, your whole SCADA system, and whatnot, right? So we all know pretty much that whole infrastructure that we work within. And then for the ones that want to kind of get more down to the IoT business, Tele established its own IoT business framework. That's heavily driven through Austria, and we have experts that are happy to help you kind of getting that greater framework in with the product. But for the eCap sensor, the performance sensor itself, we see that there's two major use cases, or like where it's deployed in those frameworks. One is pretty much like a, a local PLC or control system with an HMI that is maybe tied into like a factory SCADA system or whatnot. And then the second use case would be pretty much you're using the eCap sensor as your performance sensor for electrical values of power, energy consumption, power factor, and pretty much send that data to your Modbus master, which is connected to an IoT module, and then you can access all the values from all over the planet, right? And a big thing why we decided to also tie in the whole IoT part with that new product launch is because, of course, on one end, we are collecting the data, right? But data is pretty much meaningless if you don't consolidate it with information, right? So, for example, if I'm collecting now voltage, I don't know what time I collected the voltage, right? And I don't know what it even means. And that's what's critical in terms of the IoT framework, because with the greater control panel solution, we can also make sure that we tell our system, hey, I collected over voltage, for example, or 185 volts at 10:05 a.m. on this day of the year, right? And then, cool, that's information, right? But we don't know if that's good or bad yet. So that's where the intelligence and the knowledge comes into the place, where you can really optimize systems and implement that technology, really giving it a meaningful purpose, right? It's kind of like, hey, now I know that voltage was collected on this day, and I know it's good because ABC. And that allows us to pretty much enter use cases in factories, in HVAC systems that pretty much need to be able to collect that certain data. And that puts us to the the saying where we say, okay, we'll use your AC motor as the sensor to your factory. And as I said, we're fortunate enough to have a team of IoT experts that can help us also embedding that power and energy sensor in those frameworks. Yeah, and with those frameworks, we decided to tackle the following industries and markets with the eCap sensor. That would be process monitoring, the energy efficiency market, pretty much if you want to increase the energy efficiency of especially industrial manufacturing plants. In terms of predictive maintenance, we're currently working on getting as much knowledge out of the motor with this sensor to use it then to see when there is maintenance due and whatnot. And especially machine retrofits and whole manufacturing facility retrofits are a good way to work with this. So in the end, as I already mentioned, there's a few interesting use cases already. We, for example, have a footprint in the renewable energy sector in Europe, especially. What we would do here is we take in and compare the energy usage, and then we can say, hey, we want to do some peak shaving and flatten out the peaks when the energy generally is in high demand. We want to make sure we get the best uh, uh, bang for the buck in. And then with that also, in addition, of course, the industrial automation market, where we see a lot of success here in the US, along with pretty much comparing if a customer decides to install an energy sensor, did they save energy? Are they running on a better efficiency? And did that investment really pay off? So there's a lot of ideas what you can do with the data, and we encourage every one of you to listen and also share those application ideas with us, so we can pass them on to Austria, to the headquarters, and tell them, hey, we need this or this product feature implemented. And along with pretty much the application case studies that we had looked at previously, there is a few use cases I'll share with you, two to be exact. One is in South Korea, a traditional energy management system where our customer decided to pretty much put the eCap power sensor in their production facility, in all of their production, to kind of see where are they using the most energy, and where are they maybe lacking energy. And that's pretty much their take on getting their production facility A, interconnected, and B, get like a bigger picture view on what they're doing there. And as I said already, there's a lot of factors to that where you could play it, but how TELE sees the new energy and power sensors pretty much, and I've told that to a lot of you already. We believe that pretty much the best automation system is worthless if you're not starting to collect accurate data at the first doorstep, right? And that's what we're doing with this new sensor, and then passing along pretty much the values. Another use case in the field would be this case study here with a customer in the US that are in the HVAC market. And what they pretty much do is, for them, airflow is the major value that they're looking at, right? And what they want to do is, especially in critical infrastructure and in market environments like New York City, they need to tell their customers, if they're going for the new retrofit technology, how much energy can they save compared to the traditional application, right? And if they can prove to the utility company or Con Edison, hey, we saved you guys 30%, then even their solution for their customers is incentivized by tax credits. And so that's a very cool application example. And in the end, it helps to not only gather performance data, but also save them energy and give them insights into how their application is running. Now, what are the benefits of the eCap sensor? And I know there's a lot of power and energy sensors out there in the market. We pride ourselves by having pretty much an excellent sampling resolution, and a very high sampling rate of 9,800 samples per second, right? But not only that, also TELE pretty much put in all the efforts to give you like the most accurate power readings. And with the voltage and the current and the frequency that we collect, you get an accuracy of up to 0.01%, and that's for the frequency. And I'll also give you an insight into how accurate we're on values like current and whatnot later on. But pretty much the high performance and also the customization. So we tried to make this like the easiest to deploy energy sensor in the market, right? You don't need any software to set it up. You can just do like the screwdriver, run the Modbus settings, and pretty much the sensor is ready to go. When it comes to customization, of course, then we can run a bunch of customized solutions and independently from like the vertical markets we're in. But not only for the customization part, we can do it with the TELE product. We can also offer the customized TELE product to the client, right? Meaning the whole private label journey that TELE has been in, we can easily offer that eCap sensor in a custom brand color for your customer as well. Now, what other features do we have with the energy sensor or power sensor per se? We receive or we have the option to have one digital input to, for example, let the sensor know through the Modbus master, hey, now you're good to go to launch sequence 2 of your machine process. But we also have digital outputs, and there's a set of 2 integrated that pretty much allow the Modbus master to tell the Modbus slave, so our eCap, to switch during certain thresholds if you would like, right? So if the programming is done right, you can even use this as a, I would say, monitoring relay on steroids, right? And of course, the compact size. So what we did is pretty much the benefits that you have in the gamma range, so that they're DIN rail mount, and there's 1.8 inches width that the product comes with. Pretty much gives you like the great footprint of having like that familiar TELE product setup with the enhanced functionality. And one big advantage from other energy sensors out there in the market is pretty much the width of the terminals, right? So you will notice that the gamma terminals are rather larger than what you see in the energy and power sensor market out there. So that's pretty awesome. And yeah, one thing that we also are proud of is that you really don't need to power up the device to set any parameters in terms of Modbus. So that's something that's pretty awesome. So the ease of use, and then optionally we also offer, of course, like a troubleshooting configurator software if they really want to, get in depth when it comes to, for example, arranging the CT ratios and whatnot. In terms of accuracy, as I mentioned, we have the 0.01% in terms of frequency. We have 0.5% in the voltage part and 0.25% for current. Now, if we use, for example, the 5 amp CTs, we know that, for example, that base accuracy of the current input goes up, right? But what we're also currently working on, and that's the beauty of having this product that runs on an internal firmware. Our engineering team is currently working on pretty much cutting in half those accuracy levels with the next firmware update that's, I guess, supposed to come out in 3 weeks or 4 weeks of time. So that's something that's also very new to TELE, where we have our firmware updating software, and you would just pretty much connect the same hardware piece, but you get better accuracy and better features with it, right? And I know that we had also spoken, for example, with Matthew here with the EMR Associates, where it would be interesting to have not only the voltage levels or like line to line voltage, line to neutral voltage, but also maybe like the whole asymmetry feature implemented, right? And that's something where we're working on getting that also in place with the next firmware update. So any ideas you might have on the functionality part, we can take it in and see what we can do with the values and hopefully implement it with one of the future firmware updates that we're having. Now, generally, this sensor is suitable for 0 to 480 volts AC. As I mentioned, one digital input, two digital outputs, and the current inputs would be for 5 amp CTs. So 5 amp current transducer, standard product ties in there. You can set the ratio on the product, and off you go. Yeah, and as far as the power supply goes, we pretty much decided to have like a separate power supply from the voltage input, simply to be able to function in case we're getting to a voltage that's close to 0. We will still be able to deliver those values when we're running off an external power supply, like the 12 to 40 volts DC. Yeah, last but not least, one of the things we're very proud of, this is also made in the heart of Europe, in Austria, and pretty much all the tele quality that you might already know, you can benefit from that. So to sum it up, and I know that has been a quick session, but we like efficiency, so we can get to the selling part of the day. The perks and benefits that we want to communicate with this, and that's something that we have experienced a lot in the market already, where it turns out that people don't go for the most accurate sensor, but they go for the easiest to use sensor. And so we made that kind of our mission, to offer a power sensor that's very easy to use, you know, straightforward to commission, and doesn't need like 100 software engineers to get it up and running. And that's why when selling this product, it's the DIN rail functionality, how you mount the product, it's the Modbus settings, the way you set them up. And then one thing that's also, for example, compared to a Carlo Gavazzi product, standing out is that you don't need the software, the programming software, to set your current transducer ratios, right? So what you can do is you can read in or write through the Modbus commands what current transducer ratios you want to have in place. And that's very important, because if you have a customer that runs at a larger quantity here, you can't expect them to, you know, wire up or hook up every control panel twice or 3 times during their production. You know, ideally, they have one testing of the panel, and then power it up, read in the values, select with their PLC what CT values they want to put in, and they pretty much are good to go, saving time and effort when it comes to programming that sensor. Now, we also have some fun available accessories for this product. One would be our FAG2 front cover. And that front cover pretty much is our standard gamma front cover. You see here, that's that piece of plastic. It just snaps on the front of the product, and you put like a seal here, a wire seal, and that pretty much prevents anyone from changing and messing with your Modbus parameter set on the front. Just in case you want to be safe, you know, we have some customers that are very particular about changing like parameters or thresholds on the front of the product. They would use just paint and cover pretty much the dial, and then it messes up the whole functionality of the product. So this is a fun and cost-effective way to pretty much prevent that from happening. And we also do offer the 5 amp split core CTs that we have seen good success with. They come in different accuracy classes from 0.1 to 0.5, which we like to sell with the product as well. So they come in the traditional 50 to 600 amp ranges, and we have them in stock here for purchase or samples. Feel free to let us know if you see a demand for those. And as I already mentioned, the free optional software. So we do have a firmware updater software that's completely free for any future updates that come at no cost, and the free troubleshooting and configuration software, right? And that troubleshooting and configuration software is also free of charge. It's available online, and you can just download it and play around with it and see what kind of values it would give you. So now you know the basics of pretty much our newest product, the eCap sensor. So how about sensing some good energy, and let's get to work. we all know that, for example, with the TELE brand name, we don't have, unfortunately, that awareness that we wish we would have on the market, like Allen Bradley or Schneider Electric. But with all of your help, I'm pretty positive that we can achieve some good market share with this product. Slowly finding our niche market also with this, and that's why we have decided pretty much for our rep partners to put 4 stages in place. Stage number 1 will be if we pretty much can see quick successes with the product and we can get some of these sold. You get 20% on all eCap sales until the end of the year. After the end of the year, we're trying to cover more and more market with this. We'll slowly reduce the sales commission to 18% until mid of next year, and then 15% on all eCap sales until the end of next year, sorry. And that hopefully gives us the chance, to raise some attention within your portfolio as well, because we all know how tricky it can be focusing on different products and technologies in a line card. And so we're hoping that this is like a little bit of an incentive to um, get up to cruising altitude together with this, knowing the efforts you will have with this. Yeah, and not only do we give you the increased commission on this new product launch, we also have a few goodie incentives that we would like to give you until the end of next year. So if you manage to sell 20 pieces of the eCap sensor, you'll get a fun eCap hat and t-shirt. If you manage to sell 100 pieces until end of next year, you get a free duffel bag and a backpack. Fun. And if you can sell 1,000 pieces until the end of next year, or we get a good blanket PO in for the following year, we'll make sure that we can put the duffel bag and the backpack to good use, so that you can get a free trip for 2 to Austria, where the product is manufactured, and see pretty much how it all comes together in real life, right? Yeah, this is what the product looks like again. And now we all know that it would be good to have some marketing collaterals to push the product, and some crossover reference sheets. Now, our team has done an excellent job putting together, those kinds of informations that you need to push the product. And so you will be receiving, after this session, a market and product launch special package that will include our well-known battle cards, giving you like all the technological details on a glimpse. You'll have a crossover list that pretty much highlights all the known competitors out there that we see here in the US on the product, and how we compare to them. And please feel free to let us know at any time if you have one in mind, a competitor product that you see on the market often. We can also make sure to include it to make the crossover process very easy. We also give you video tutorials, for example, explaining the technology in a short video clip, but also kind of highlighting how you install the eCap energy sensor step by step. So that's a good advantage. We offer email banners. You can throw in your email signature. I want to say with that, if you would like a customized branded email banner in your design, we can also create that, kind of hinting towards the eCap sensor. Just let us know what you would like changed at the current one, and if there's other information you would like to have included. And then we'll give you a set of photos and graphics, along with LinkedIn posts and blog posts, graphics for your newsletters, and so on and so forth. Now, in terms of samples, I wish this product was as lovely as our timers, but we have reserved one free sample for all of our sales rep partners that you can take on the road. If you see a customer, that wants a sample for testing, you can leave behind your personal sample, or feel free to sell him a eCap for like a special testing price at $237.68 each, and we'll work around on that. So that should be fun. And then, of course, there will be smaller sticker giveaways and like smaller nifty stuff that we'll send you. Okay, biggest question of the day probably. How much is the fish? There is a special deal on the product, which means every eCap sensor that we sell until the end of the year, we'll throw in a free front cover, kind of to also kind of lead people to that nice and nifty um, uh, product add-on and see what they think about it, the customers. But in the end, what you need to know is that the part number for this eCap performance energy and power sensor is G4SR480 V502CAA. And I know that's a long telepart number, but what that means pretty much is a G4 is the width of the gamma series. SR is pretty much describing that it captures energy and power up to 480 volts and 5 amps directly. So you know what inputs we have here. And it has two outputs really. So that's pretty much what it tells us here in this code. The SKU number is 2394800. And the gamma eCap series performance sensor specs are pretty much here in this short text. Now, in terms of list price, let's see, there it is. So we decided to go for a list price that's, I would say, not as inexpensive as the, for example, watt node power meter, because that's not what we see ourselves competing with on a day-to-day basis, to be honest, in terms of features and functionality. So we're a little bit higher priced than the watt node power and energy sensor, but we're well aware that we can be very competitive for OEMs, right? And to also start things off, we put together like a special pricing structure to help you out when you quote people and tell them, for example, hey, this is your price right away. For direct customers, OEMs, 5 pieces 401, 25 pieces 397, 50 plus pieces 339, and then as we always say at Tele, if we're increasing the 100 piece sound barrier, kind of, we'll talk about special pricing and project discounts. And in terms for distributors to kind of like lower that barrier even more, to put some in stock locally, here would be the distributor pricing specials. Those are valid until the end of the year. Before we pretty much go on the and align on our standard silver, gold, and platinum price specials. So we're hoping that this incentive also allows us to win over some distributors for the product. Now, in order to also push the new product together, we have a few webinars coming up. One webinar, and please feel free to invite your LinkedIn network and your customer network to these events. One is on August 9th. That's our distributor webinar. You will receive all the links and information after this training session. This one will be exclusively tailored to distributors to give them the benefits of doing business with Tele and the pricing specials. And then we have a set of 2 end user webinars. The end user webinars are pretty much available publicly on LinkedIn and Microsoft Teams to sign up for. And those should be pretty much to raise awareness if you have some end customers, electrical engineers, building maintenance engineers that are interested in learning more about power monitoring and this new energy sensor. Feel free to invite them, and we're hoping to convert some customers there to the new energy sensor. And whoever wants to see the product in person, there is the WEFTEC Chicago show, October 2nd to the 4th, and that's pretty much where we'll have the chance to talk with people in person. So feel free to pay us a visit also, and send some customers over to have a look at the eCap sensor in person. And yeah, I know that was a swift introduction into the eCap sensor, but I'm hoping with this webinar we didn't steal too much of your valuable time. And what I would like to do is also, I'm sure you've had the chance to ask a few questions already within the chat. But if not, feel free to let us know, and we'll schedule a one-on-one meeting with you to go over more of the technological details, or if you have any applications in mind. I think that would be the best thing to do. And then we will also give the chance for all the the salespeople that are here now in the room to kind of exchange that knowledge, and we'll make sure to create a platform where we can benefit from each other's experiences in terms of what worked well when we sold it, and what didn't work so well when we tried to sell it. And yeah, that pretty much concludes today's meeting show, webinar. And in terms of see a few questions, UL. If UL is keeping there and sticking to their timeline, we will have it. Handy. I see a question from Nick. Can you run the configurator software without being connected to a meter? Yeah, I can actually. You know what? We'll have a little bit of time. We'll show you that here real quick. So the configurator is downloadable in our web server on the website. And this would be pretty much how you downloaded the configurator software. And that's pretty much how it opens up. You would have to connect your eCap sensor to the computer. I'm just trying to see. I'll fire mine up real quick. So I have a standard, RS485 to USB converter connected here with this sensor. So you can turn on the countdown or the timer so we see how fast I get it up and running. And so on the front of the product, we will just select, for example, what do we have here? Power up the thing. And we're on setting number 2, which is 9,600, no parity. And then it could be if you, for example, power up the product before you or after you actually plug in the USB dongle thing, you need to restart the software. So that's what we did here. And then pretty much you're connected to the configurator software already. I like to use it as a troubleshooting software also. So here you would see, for example, the connected voltages, line 1, line 2, line 3. You have the current readings and the frequency here. It gives you all relevant energy and power factor values. And then if you click on this folder here, this tab, digital inputs and outputs, you can also kind of force the integrated digital outputs, right? When it comes to the configuration, you see like all the relevant data here. You can actually also automatically adjust the voltage levels, in case you know that you're sensing like a certain millivolt range in your application. You can do the zero adjust voltages, so it doesn't show 0.004 volts, but it shows 0. And then here you can also manually type in any current transducer ratios, right? So if you have, for example, a 200 amp current transducer, you type in here 40 and restart to activate the transformer factor. And that's how quick it was. It already restarted. So that's pretty cool. And one other thing that we can show you is the firmware updates. Same thing again. This is how it would look to start the firmware updater. And you hit connect here. And then it shows, for example, if there is a new software update available, like this one. I'm currently running on version 0.1, and I can automatically then select start update, and it updates to the newest software. So that takes a little while now. Yeah, I hope that answered the question. Mr. Nick. Alrighty. And you can see really it took me, I have the USB dongle, everything wired up. It took me 30 seconds to a minute to get it up and running, which is very, very cool. All right, well, so this pretty much concludes our first training session, meeting insight into the new energy sensor, power sensor, eCap. You will also receive, I think, a poll in, all right, a link to ask you how you found the session was. And please give us your open and honest feedback on what you think about the session, what you like about the product, where you think there could be room for improvement. But until then, we'll supply you with plenty of materials. A catalog for the product and folder is also out. And if you have any wishes, please declare them with us at any time. All right. Happy selling, everyone, and have a great grand day. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
Take care.